Well, good morning to everyone. My name is Koldo Echebarria. I am the Director General of the school, and it is my pleasure to be here with you today in this event, which marks the inauguration of our second Sustainability Week. I want to thank all the persons here in the forum, also all the members of the community who are following in streaming. And to mark this milestone, we are starting this Sustainability Week with an event on the role of business schools in training responsible leaders. And I have to say that we have here a very remarkable guest speaker with us, who is Marcello Palazzi. I had the opportunity to meet Marcello while we were working on the design of a new program, our program in transformational leadership and social impact that is already in place, and our first promotion is already in the classrooms, and we are looking to second promotion, to recruiting a second promotion this year. So I had the opportunity to meet Marcello, and we had conversations on the B Corp movement at that time, and we wanted to make possible that Esade would be a member of the B Corp movement, and I think that we are still working on that. But Marcello has a long experience in business. He has been the head of an international family business in environmental technologies for many years. But he decided to make a move in the early 90s and created the Progressio Foundation for Human Progress, which is based in Rotterdam and has completed 300 projects in 30 different countries with dozens of partners under his leadership in pursuit of civic economy, civic enterprise, and civic innovation. We can say that Marcello is an entrepreneur for human and social progress. Marcello has been leading, as I said, the B Corp movement in continental Europe from Amsterdam, and is also the co-founder of a global ambassador of NOW Partners. So he will be here with us, and with him we will have Ingrid Campi. Ingrid is a student, and I have to say that the students have been key in the elaboration of the sustainability plan, and I want to thank all the student community for their contribution to the plan. Ingrid is a student of the double degree in business administration and law at Esade, and she's also the head of the department of curriculum change in Oikos. And as I said, this is a very important topic, and I have learned from her that they are working in a sustainable finance course with Professor Adriana Dimitrescu, and he will hopefully tell us something about all that. And of course, we have with us here today Cristina Giménez, who is Director of Identity and will be from now on, and after the sustainability plan has been approved, Director of Identity and Sustainability in the school. So congratulations, Cristina, for an excellent job in putting together all the pieces and all the participation of our sustainability plan, and also this Sustainability Week. And let me just end by saying that I would like to encourage you all to participate in the events that we have planned this week. There are different kinds of events. You have conferences, but you also have outside activities that mean a commitment to sustainability, activities in the different campuses, and I would say a very engaging series of events. And I think I'm going to stop here, Cristina, and I leave it to Marcello for our guest speaker statement. Thank you.
So I'm going to stand up. Can you hear me? Does it work? So Koldo, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you. I really love being with you because what Koldo and you all are doing is exactly what I've been partly doing, partly hoping for the last 30 plus years. So I was a student at LSE in London, And it didn't really make sense what I was learning. The economics was very mathematical, and there was nothing about ethics and values. And as a member of a family that had a company or two companies in the UK and in Italy in environmental technologies, I started researching about business ethics, family businesses, and that was partly the beginning of my journey. And then, as Koldo said, I started a foundation with the Dutch friend, Progresso Foundation, Entrepreneurship for Human Progress, 32 years ago. And we started doing public-private partnerships in Europe, also in Africa. And there we started to learn how this agenda of the well-being for society, the role of our governments and business are so connected, potentially connected together. So this long journey, I want to share a few things with you. First of all, what we're discussing here is really, this is big stuff. This sort of transformation of our capitalism is, on everyone's lips. I was yesterday, the day before, the Munich Security Conference. This whole question of sustainability is becoming a security question as well. We have predictions that there might be 200 million or more climate refugees around the world. There could be water wars, there could be energy wars. This is no longer just green, nice to be green on the margin and eating organic food. This is about mainstream economy, it's a mainstream politics going forward. Myself and some of my colleagues use the word regeneration now. We think we are already beyond sustainability. Sustainability, as you know, is really about, comes from Gro Harlem Brundtland, is leaving the planet the way you found it. Well, actually, I think it's not good enough to leave the planet the way you found it, certainly not now in 2022. So a number of people like John Fullerton, Paul Hawken, have started talking about regeneration. There are a couple of books out there about what is the regenerative economy. So I think that I would like to frame it. This is the transition towards away from a more extractive capitalism to a regenerative capitalism. So I am an entrepreneur, I am an economist, I believe in the free markets, I believe in entrepreneurship, but we need to have the framework and the rules and the governance of the economy in a way that is good for people and planet. And we know the challenges, we know the climate agenda, the biodiversity agenda, inequality agenda, and these are all, as many, like Paul Polman, former CEO of Unilever, he has written a book about the Sustainable Development Goals. Every year we need $11 trillion of investment to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. So this is very clear. This is 8 years, 2030 is the sort of end period. So even you look at achieving the SDGs is a business opportunity. It's actually companies getting into new technologies, energy, of course, mobility, transportation, to change from a more extractive to a more regenerative economy. So first thing to say, this is big stuff. This is not, again, let's drive an electric car. This is about sort of transformation of our society. And some will be going like first movers. They'll be quickly going in this direction, and others will not be. So I'm really glad that the Esade is on this journey. I have over the years tried to infiltrate business schools. I was a fellow at Harvard for a year, a fellow at Stanford. I'm an alumnus of Oxford Said Business School. They're moving far too slowly. Maybe Oxford with Said and Paul Polman as the chair, Colin Mayer is going quite far. But even there, it's not the mainstream, it's not the whole of the school. It's, a few programs. And I think that Esade has a chance to actually move more quickly into this transformation. It's great that there is a program, but I think it could do more programs and be more holistic. May I ask a question? How many of you are business school, or many of you are law school? How many of you are in the law faculty here? Any lawyers in the room? You're a lawyer, yeah, okay. And there are two. So the reason why I mentioned this is because maybe I have three main points to follow. One is the law is really important. You know that, for example, in the Netherlands, Shell was taken to court by civil society, and the courts won. And now Shell has to be much more progressive in terms of their CO2 emissions. There is a case now going on in Germany against Volkswagen. We see that lawyers are mobilizing with civil society, and there is also, constitutionally, Ecuador has added a clause in the constitution about preserving biodiversity, preserving nature. Last week, Italy passed something similar in the constitution. Other countries that are working on this. So constitutionally, we see countries interested in changing the law in favor of, planetary rights, the rights of rivers, the rights of animals. So this is going on as a discussion, and I think that there are lawyers that are becoming more active in this. Specifically inside the bee movement. So I co-founded Bee Lab Europe. We now have globally 4,500 certified B Corps, Patagonia, Triodos Bank, Danone, Coursera, WeTransfer. It's a mix of small, large, entrepreneurial, some are run by young women, but it's basically what unites this company is impact, positive impact. That's what we do, and this is what the certification of B Corps means. I think we have nearly 200 in Spain. There's an active network here with Pablo Sanchez running B Lab Spain. It's wonderful and we see many more bigger companies wanting to become B Corps. But alongside the certification, there is a law. We passed a law in the United States called the Benefit Corporation by law. This is about you lawyers. And now in 8 countries, there's a law. In South America, it's Uruguay, Colombia, Peru, Ecuador. It's Empresa con Propósito, and there are hundreds of companies like this. In Italy, it's called Società Benefit. In France, it's called Entrepresa Mission. And we have many countries, Portugal, Australia, Costa Rica, interested in applying the law in their countries. So the law is slowly moving in the direction. And what the law says is basically 3 things. You have a statement of purpose. You have to say what your company is for. What is your impact? Not just making money. Secondly, is transparency. You can't hide things under the table. You have to be quite open. And thirdly, the stakeholder balancing. It's not just for shareholders, but also stakeholders. So this is taking root in many countries. So for the lawyers here, this is a very important opportunity to move in this direction. Plus, what I mentioned earlier, civil society, lawyers, taking companies to court. You have to watch it if you're a company, that you're not going to get stuck into something like this, because it's obviously you don't want to be stuck against the law as a business. It's clearly. So this is the first big thing, the legal dimension. Secondly is the role of money. There's more and more money now, impact investment, sustainable finance, triple bottom line investing. If you put them all together, about 20% of the world's money now is looking for these sort of criteria. So not only profit, but also positive impact. This is growing. The biggest company we have in the B Corp is called Generation Investment Management. It's the company of Al Gore. They started 15 years ago. They already have 30 billion invested, very successful, very high returns. So it's perfectly possible to make money and meet these high standards. Governments and cities. So the government of Belgium decided last year that they would no longer have any investments in non-sustainable industries. So they're moving out of that. You have whole cities that are doing the same. I mean, Koldo mentioned the university here. The endowment has decided not to invest in unsustainable industries. So this is a sort of, this is growing as a movement. There was 2 or 3 years ago, this divest, invest movement. Even Rockefeller Foundation got out of oil, put their money into renewable energy. So this is really very important because, of course, this money goes into companies, and the companies, they need to reflect the values of the investors and vice versa. Third point, so first is the law, second is the money, third is people, leaders. This is so evident, but it is the beginning of everything. And this is why education is so important. That at the end of the beginning, it's all about our intentions as leaders. And more, we find that younger people, so Ingrid, people like Ingrid and my kids, I have 3 kids, they're all in business. They are all looking, they wouldn't do anything that would not be sustainable or regenerative. So this is actually, we got to go with the next generation and work with the younger people. So there's no better place than a business school, university like Esade to really work, with in a way, the young people, they are the customers of universities towards their future, because it is their future. And then maybe a final point, it's not easy because, again, 30 years ago, I was already talking at London Business School. I was doing my MBA. You know, why don't we talk about business ethics and sustainability? I mean, it took many, many years before they even started doing something about it. But now it's evident. There is no question anymore. You know, the day before yesterday in Munich, we had all this, statistics, evidence about the challenges we are facing. You know, this like 70% of the fish in the ocean is gone. Biodiversity loss. We're losing 4,000 species a year. Basically 200 years of industrialization. We've been extracting all this from the planet. And, well, if we keep doing this, we won't have anything left. So this is the kind of huge, fantastic purpose. So, part of this was also about purpose. Everyone talks about purpose, but there's no better purpose than trying to, keep this planet alive in the next 20, 30 years. So if you are someone like Ingrid, this is kind of actually her purpose. It's the purpose of everyone. Otherwise, we will really be, I don't have a doomsday scenario, and we are lucky in Europe, but imagine, we heard yesterday stories about, the Pacific Islands and Bangladesh and India and, many of these countries, China, if the waters start rising, if temperatures increase, for many people in many countries, it will be pretty tragic. So very finally, what I've learned over the years is that it's becoming now possible, also financially, profitably, to be in this regenerative business. So maybe 30 years ago, it was not so easy, but we have enough examples now of many companies in the B Corp movement, 4,500 companies, plus the benefit corporations, that show that it is possible every day to be, pursuing these high standards of governance, ethics, sustainability, social, and at the same time be a profitable business. So this is, for anyone who is, in a way, aware of this issue, this is really the only way to go. There is no alternative. So I think that you are in a wonderful place to go in this direction with Esade. And the very final thing is, I know that the B Corp movement in Spain and other countries really wants to work with the business school. So perhaps Koldo, Cristina, an invitation, reach out to these companies, bring them here, invite the CEOs to speak, get people to do internships in these companies, because this is, if we don't do it together, we will not really get there. I'm remembering a very final thing. Barcelona has agreed to become a Barcelona Must Be, which is basically a program that we do with the B Corps. I think it's going to be announced in May. So there'll be quite a few things happening in Barcelona around the impact economy, regenerative economy, the role of business schools, etc. So I think this is a very good place to go forward. So maybe I'll leave it at that, and then we can have questions. Please ask me any questions. I think that I kind of feel the energy in your room, because this is a big agenda. This is really kind of a moment in history where we can show that we are stepping up to the responsibilities that we face. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcello. Now we are going to have a conversation about the urgent agenda for this change, for this transformation, the role of business schools, and how we need to prepare responsible leaders. So thank you, Marcello, Koldo, and Ingrid, for being here. So let's start. The first question is for you, Marcello. You have been talking about change and transformation. Change in organizations, changing systems, transforming people. So can you elaborate this a little bit more? What type of change do we need?
Sure. So for me, the big change is this evolution from an economy, a capitalism that I call it extractive, but I don't mean to be so negative about it. I mean what I said earlier, that we have all these forms of capital, natural capital, social capital, human capital, that the planet has. And we have been taking a lot of this without replenishing it, certainly in terms of the natural capital. And sometimes social capital, you know. If you think about people who work in factories in Bangladesh and so forth, you know, we can do better than that. So that is, for me, the transformation is to move this evolution of a capitalist system. Again, you know, we know now what's going on in Ukraine and Russia, you know, for many years we had socialism and capitalism. And so obviously capitalism has won the battle, but it has to reform itself to be able to stay and be the successful model. So that for me is the big change. The second piece I want to say, because in your question it was also about the B Corps, is there are 250 million companies in the world. 250 million companies in the world. Some are Google, Apple, Microsoft, the big companies, and others are, you know, family businesses and the stores and people who have a micro business in many countries in Africa and South America, etc. That is the fabric of our economy. And, you know, 80–90% of businesses are small businesses. So the transformation, this change, cannot happen if some politician sits and decides that we have to be sustainable. It has to happen by everyone changing. So this is the power and the opportunity for all businesses to start looking at how they can change. Now, for some, it's not easy, you know. If you are, you know, a farmer in, I don't know, in the less developed countries, it is hard. So this is not an easy thing. But certainly speaking here from Esade in Europe, even if it is global, but, you know, to entrepreneurs, to business leaders, we have companies. Companies have a history. They have capitals. We can change. We can transform. We're not starting from nothing. So it is also every year. You know, I have a friend who runs a pharmaceutical company in Portugal. You know, the next 5 years they are investing $185 million or euros. So I said to him, out of this money, you have already decided to spend this money, invest this money. How much of this money is really going to be regenerative sustainable? So that made him think about it. So it is not only new money, it's also money you have already committed. You know, like, you know, I'm going to buy a new car or a new house, each one of us. So the point of the 250 million companies is every company, every citizen, you know, I talk about citizen owners and leaders, we need to change. And now, this is what I think I said earlier, the experience of so many companies being successful in changing is a reason for saying, well, we can also change. So the point is that without every company changing, we will not get there to the transformation we want. So the system, let's stay in the free market capitalist system, but make it work so that it is sustainable and regenerative for us, people and planet.
Thank you. And you have been also talking about leading with purpose. Can you elaborate this a little bit more?
Sure. So maybe Ingrid, you know, Ingrid, she's the next gen leader. She can speak to that. I mean, for me, it's so clear that this is the purpose for us in business. This is the purpose, to be able to regenerate our capitalistic system and our economy so that it is really meant to be doing what it is doing. So for some of you, when I started my work, I wrote a little book on the civic economy. I went back to Aristotle. Aristotle talked about oikonomia and eudaimonia. Oikonomia is the management of the household, which is the good management of society now, and eudaimonia is well-being of people. So it's really so simple, but we've gone quite far away in an economy that it doesn't really do that the way it could do. So the purpose is to go back to the nature of things, the real nature of things. Economy is meant to be for the well-being of people. So, and now the planet obviously is evident. It wasn't 30 years ago, but now it is evident that we have to do something. So at heart, it's a very simple concept that the purpose is to go back to the essence of things, which is economy is about the well-being of people on the planet. So there's enough to do for everybody for 30 years. So.
Thank you. Now, Koldo, what type of skills, attitudes do you think leaders need to be able to lead with purpose?
Yeah, I think this is a matter of being consistent and following an old model that we share here at Esade, which is a model coming from the Society of Jesus, that says that we need to train competent leaders, but also conscious leaders, compassionate leaders, and also committed leaders. And it is easy to say something like that. It is not so easy to implement a framework like that. When we say that we need to train competent leaders, we say, and it is possibly the easiest part of the model, that we need to transfer the state-of-the-art knowledge on how to manage a firm or how to provide legal advice or in the different subject areas that we teach here at the school. There's something I would add to that competency part of the model, which is that if we are not conscious about the implicit values that every technique, every instrument conveys, I don't think that we will be doing our job properly. Any financial management, human resource, marketing, or legal institution has embedded values. And some of them, or most of them, if we talk about management, are supposedly neutral values of economic rationality. But economic rationality is not neutral. It expresses certain values that are put in front or are put above other values. So being competent means realizing what are the implications of these instruments in terms of values for the organization and for the society. Second thing, being conscious and committed means being very much aware of the context where we live. And I asked my students of a course I started last week about the percentage of poverty in the world. And depending on how you measure poverty, and we have heard the story that we are reducing extreme poverty, which is true, but still more than 80% of the world population lives with less than $30 a day, which could be poverty in our country. So being conscious means being aware of this context and how the world is looking. And being compassionate is a step forward, saying, well, I want to really understand how these people live, what is their condition, how they manage every day in their lives. And of course, being committed means identifying what are the changes that are needed in society, in companies, and trying to deliver on those changes. I would say this is a big challenge for a school like ours, even if we have been doing a lot of things that are consistent with this paradigm. I think it is a challenge to introduce a value discussion on management techniques, or to introduce a sustainability dimension in everything we teach, from finance to marketing to private law, public law. It is also a challenge to that our students are better at understanding their context. And I see one of our faculty there who has promoted an ethnographic school. And we are doing that in different programs. One thing is to say, well, there's a lot of poverty there outside. Another thing is to get to understand what that means and to get in touch with that part of the reality and go deeper into it, so we can really feel what does it mean and being compassionate. We're doing that in different programs, which I think is very important for it. And then another thing is being committed to change. And that needs, of course, initiatives that put our students in the position of designing projects, implementing projects, and we can call them challenges, capstones, and different things. And we also have some courses that include a service to the community, so they understand what it means trying to help the people in need. Or we have this program that goes into developing countries, and our students are prepared to run a project in a poor community in a developing country. I mean, we need to be able to expand and to go deeper into all these in our programs. And of course, we need as well programs that are more centered on sustainability. And we, as I said, we inaugurated at the beginning of this year our course on transformational leadership and social impact, and we will be running in 2 years a program on sustainability management. That's true, but we need to go deeper in all programs and courses with teaching experiences, learning experiences that allow our students to be not only more competent, but also more conscious, more compassionate, and more committed.
Thank you, Koldo. One more question, Koldo. Do you think business schools are preparing professionals for that? And how do you see the future of business education? Koldo, how do you see the future of business education?
Well, sorry, I thought you were addressing
No,
Ingrid.
for you.
Well, I think that if we are consistent with the demands of society and the demands of businesses that Marcello was expressing very clearly, we have more and more business that are behaving responsibly from a social point of view and environmental point of view. We need to prepare our students for that. I would love, for example, that rankings and all sorts of instruments that measure the reputation of business schools are more conscious of that need and look not only to the return of the investment that people make when they come to a business school program, but also that to what extent we are able to address these needs of social responsibility and social impact. I believe this is in the process of being realized. It will take more time. One of the things is that it's not so easy to measure to what extent the schools are being consistent with sustainability. But I see that coming and rewarding the schools that are consistent with it.
May
Okay,
I add
thank
one
you.
quick thing?
Yes,
So
yes,
this
of
is
course.
there's one thing to be a bit watchful for, which is that some of these more, in a way, progressive companies, they start developing their own programs because sometimes they think that there is not enough that is modern and progressive and inside the business school. So a little bit of warning that it's a competitive field out there, and you don't want to be too far away. You want to be in touch with this. And I have been involved in leadership development for many years, on and off, and I see that some companies, they don't go to business schools anymore. They do their own programs. They get together with other companies. Corporate, whatever they call corporate leadership. 5-6 companies come together. They do their own program. They hire people. So that's also something to watch for. That you want to be there, and you want to be, developing this program for your customers.
Yeah, and if I can add, because that's very, very right, and we have seen that already. The kind of training that companies request us, it is not a training that can be done entirely by business school resources. We need to pool resources with companies, with NGOs, and with other organizations, so we can make an attractive offer for companies wanting to move into the sustainability. We recently gained a competitive bid with a very traditional, I would say, a big mining company. And the decision was made on the approach to sustainability. And I think that the advantage of what we offer was that it was not just an offering made from a business school perspective. It took into account other actors, and we provided an ecosystem of actors that was really what made the difference for the company. So you're right. I mean, not all knowledge is in universities. Knowledge is scattered throughout society, and we can be much more interesting for companies if we work as sort of curators of knowledge, and we can go around and pool the different organizations that can provide relevant knowledge.
Thank you. Thank you. Ingrid, what is the impact you would like to have when you finish your studies here in Esade? And if you feel you are being prepared for that?
Well, actually, what mark do I want to leave on the world is a question that I often ask myself. when I had to choose my undergrad studies, also when I'm searching for an internship. So it's quite overwhelming because even for me, it isn't clear exactly what kind of impact do I want to have. My passions are the law and finance, so I really want to use these kind of tools as mechanisms for change. But the thing is that I see as a student, and I think that's the position that lots of students have, is that the problems are so big, and so the magnitude is sometimes too broad that it's kind of hard to just tackle one problem, see exactly where I want to focus. It's, oh, I would like to help that community or provide that service to that specific company that is implementing that sustainability goal. But then what I feel is that I'm leaving all that other problems that need to be addressed also and that need to be tackled. So it's kind of, all this, what we were saying, this, what we need is this holistic approach. So that's why what I've tried to be doing this years here at Esade is to also raise awareness. Because I think that the problems that we're facing right now, the challenges of the 21st century, need a joint effort. So if I'm just going there as a hero, that's not going to solve any problem. So that's why I'm trying to engage and empower more students to become change agents. And regarding your last question, so I think that I'm acquiring the skills and the knowledge to become a competent leader, as we were saying. But also, I would say responsible leader. I think it's something that is difficult to teach. So I don't know, people such as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Gandhi, Greta Thunberg. I don't think that these people actually were said, you are going to become a leader, you're going to have a positive impact. They basically had the purpose, the meaning, and they were committed to it, as they were saying. So in that sense, I felt that Esade was really empowering me, and they were listening, just not to me, but also Oikos and other students that really wanted to change. And I think that's one of the main parts and one of the main factors that really kind of made me feel prepared for that change. So being just, not being ignored I just felt that I actually can have a positive impact.
Thank you, Ingrid. One more question. As a member of Oikos International, you have been a member of the Curricular Review Committee. Maybe you can explain to the audience what is Oikos International and in which initiatives you have been involved regarding curricular change.
Sure. So, my journey in curriculum change started 2 years ago when I went to Geneva. It was an international gathering of students where we were talking about curriculum change. It was an event organized by Oikos International, which is basically a non-profit, student-led association that promotes sustainability among students, and its main focus is economics and management education. There I learned what is this curriculum change and what this stands for. So I would kind of sum it up like saying that it's an initiative from students, professors, academics, and even professionals in the industry, whose goal is to incorporate more sustainability in our education. So for instance, let's say a finance course that, yes, of course, we have to talk about return and risk, but also can we add a third dimension, which is sustainability concerns. So after that gathering, I came back to Barcelona, and then I shared this knowledge to Oikos, the association that I'm in, and we wanted to promote this change at Esade. But it was really comforting, and we were happy to hear that, when we started to talk with Esade, we realized that they were already implementing a plan. They were taking the first steps to implement the sustainability plan. And in that sense, and also in relation to what I said before, this need for have a joint effort, what we decided is to work together rather than just go as Oikos Barcelona just trying to make a change, but we joined forces with Esade, and since then we've been working with them. One of the main things that I think that we achieved to do, and I think were very powerful for us, is the positive impact rating, which is basically an official survey where students assess their own business schools. So in that sense, they evaluate if they think that the school addresses aspects of sustainability. And with that result, we use them to present them to Esade and actually accelerate that transformation. We've also helped some teachers in reviewing curricula. And actually, this semester, we are working with Ariana Dimitrescu, who's here. We're working on a sustainable finance think tank, which is basically, well, we organize like a series of events where we talk and discuss topics about sustainability. And also, we are kind of doing a trading challenge where students can they use like a platform that simulates markets, and then they invest and they're assessed with a dual objective, so ESG integration and financial performance. So all that being said, I guess that you're seeing that our main focus has been the business school, but as Marcello was saying, and also because law is one of my passions, I think that there's a lot of things and that can be achieved in the law school, environmental law, climate justice law, and I think that this topic really need to be addressed. And actually, this is one of the things that Oikos has right now in mind. So I hope that you hear about it soon.
Okay, thank you very much, Ingrid. Marcello, last question for you. You know, we have been in this journey during this last year, joining efforts with the students, also working with many other stakeholders. What would be your advice for universities, business schools like us that are joining efforts towards making this change? What would be your advice?
So I was thinking, as Koldo was talking about this, the knowledge is not just within the walls. For me, the big power is the ecosystem. So I would look at the alumni of Esade. How many alumni do you have? 4,000? This is for the business school? Alumni,
60,000.
60,000. So I thought that was a good number, big number. 60,000 in many countries, no? So I would go after the alumni. I mean, not go after them, you know what I mean? Include them, make them, because some of them, you know, they own businesses, their children may come to Esade, they have know-how, so be more, in a way, ecosystem-centric. Just, you know, maybe you're already doing this, but do like what are the top 500 alumni inside the Esade in terms of this direction of sustainability, regeneration, and so on. Bring them in, engage them, find ways of working with them. The second thing is, I think that go back to this pillars that I shared with you. Money. So where's money going into more sustainable companies and sustainable projects? There may be banks, there may be investment funds that are part of the Esade alumni network. Work with them. Thirdly is this, you know, the fact that Barcelona wants to be a Barcelona must be, working with the B Corps, work with the city, promote this sort of Barcelona, and inside Barcelona, of course, Esade as this. It's moving towards this transformation. So and then be quite proactive about it. I think sometimes people are, which is one of the C's. You mentioned the compassion, care, consciousness. I think also the C of courage. Courage, you have to have the guts to do it. I mean, sometimes people are a bit afraid of, are we really in for transformation? Are we not? We just go for it, you know, because there is really no other way. If you want to be, you know, Mr. Putin or some, you know, if you want to be at the end of the, you know what I mean? If you want to be far ahead in terms of change, you got to stand out and have the courage to state what you're here for, and etc. Finally, I think that again, what Koldo was talking about, this knowledge, it's a sort of hybrid now, maybe design a program or programs for executive programs or corporate programs, together with some alumni, together with some of the companies, mix and match. Because also, I lived in Palo Alto for 2 years. In Palo Alto, if you're not 28, you're old, So bring in the new people. I mean, like in Europe, I mean, I'm European, but in Europe, we are a little bit too honoring the old and not giving enough power to the young. So work more with the new startups, with ventures, get the students to do ventures, etc. So that these are the few things I would share.
Thank you very much, Marcello, Koldo, and Ingrid, for this very interesting conversation. I would say what we have been talking about at the beginning, it has been the need for urgent change, a transformation of our capitalism or systems towards a regenerative paradigm. We have been also talking about the importance of leading with purpose. We have talked about how we try to promote that in our students. We have talked about consciousness, compassion, commitment. These are the competencies we try to promote. We have talked about the future of business education, how important it is to work with others in ecosystems, okay? We have tried to already do that for the undergraduate programs, working with our current students. Ingrid has shared with us her passion, her dreams, but also how she has already started working with that, joining efforts with us. And to end, I would say that as a business school inspired by Jesuit values, we are constantly ask ourselves how we can be a process of social transformation. And this is a very exciting and challenging process at the same time, but it's giving its fruits. I would stress, for example, the launch of the new baccalaureate in social impact, transformational leadership and social impact. The launch of our sustainability plan as a result of joining efforts and a very deep dialogue with many stakeholders. And the review of the curriculum is not only launching new programs, but also reviewing what we teach. And what I would say is that we are very grateful to our community because all these achievements would have not been possible without your commitment and your passion. So we look forward to keep working on that and for you joining the rest of the activities of the Sustainability Week. Thank you very much.